Morning, everybody. Check me out. Saying hello this morning from outside in the lovely weather. I thought since it's such a lovely day today, I thought let's not start filming off inside. Let's be outside where it's lovely and warm. So welcome this morning. Today's the first of our new series called Popular, which is looking at influence and how we can be influential, and looking at the stories and Jesus as well in terms of taking stuff from what he's done and listening to what he has to say about being influential. So this is a 3-week series. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is the first week that we are doing it. But as we crack on, and as I'm going to make my way inside, my first question for you is, who do you think is the most famous person in the world? Who is it that's the most famous person in the world? For me at the moment, actually, I've been watching this documentary called Last Dance, which is all about Michael Jordan and the influence that he had during the early 90s, which was just incredible. And he influenced so much to do with sport and advertising and everything. And to me, he's kind of been stuck in my head as one of the most influential people, most popular people in the world. In fact, actually, check out a clip of the kind of stuff that he could do as I make my way inside. You see, the interesting thing is that we would have chosen different things. I chose to show a clip of Michael Jordan because I've been watching him quite a lot recently, whereas you may have chose someone who's YouTube famous, or is a movie star, or Instagram famous, or is a sports star, football star, a different kind of star. So for example, Michael Jordan may have an influence on me, but he may not have an influence on you because his popularity doesn't actually affect you. You see, to have influence means that you have the ability to affect someone else's life. That's why people who are popular seem to have the most effect at times, because they have lots of people that are following them, lots of people that they can speak into their lives, whether good or whether bad. Influence seems to, on the first look of things, come along with that. If you seem to have popularity and people following you, you have more chance of influencing people. Is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. Hopefully we can have a little look into that this morning. But I want you to just watch this quickly and see what you think. Check it out.
Because being with the Plastics was like being famous. People looked at you all the time and everybody just knew stuff about you.
That new girl moved here from Africa. I saw Katie Heron wearing army pants and flip-flops, so I bought army pants and flip-flops.
That Katie girl is hot. She might even be hotter than Regina George.
I hear Regina George is dating Aaron Samuels again. The two were seen canoodling at Chris Iso's Halloween party, and they've been inseparable ever since.
See, here's the thing about influence. I think quite often we wonder, how much of it do we actually have? And actually we think quite often that you need to have moved through the ranks or become popular almost to have influence. Just a little bit like we saw in that clip from Mean Girls. Suddenly one of the girls becomes part of the popular crew and everybody starts to notice her. Everybody starts to pay attention to what she does and who she is. And we can find ourselves falling into that trap, not only now in school, or actually we find that we can fall into that trap even when we're in adulthood. Because influence is something that we feel is almost unattainable at times. And actually, sometimes we question ourselves, I'm not even sure whether or not I got myself figured out. I don't even know what I can give to this. What influence can I have on people? I'm just not sure. What is it? Like, I don't know how I could influence somebody. Or maybe you are already part of what deems to be a slightly more popular crowd. Maybe you do have a bit of influence on people. And you're wondering, what do I do with this? How do I use this influence that I have? Maybe for you, maybe it feels heavy and a burden and something that you're just not sure how to handle. It can almost be too much at times. Or maybe you're sat there asking the question of, I don't really care. I don't pay any attention to celebrities or YouTubers. I don't pay attention to what my actions do. I'm just cracking on. But here's the thing. I think quite often we see this influence and we see it as something that's unattainable or something not really to care about at times. We can kind of get how celebrities become famous and they have an influence, and that makes sense, and that it kind of gets boxed off. But when it comes to us, sometimes it feels out of reach. Sometimes it feels like you got to go through the ranks. You got to be something else in order to influence. I think actually that can be quite a dangerous mindset to get into, because ultimately we all have the ability to influence people around us. We all have gifts, we all have things about us that can influence people. We all have the ability to do that. And you know what, this question of how do we influence people, or how much influence do I have, isn't something that's new, isn't something that's just suddenly popped up now that Instagram and YouTube and we can find out what everybody's doing so quickly. This has been going on for years, thousands of years. And we can look back to stories of the Bible as well to look at how influence is played out. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to turn to John chapter 8 and we're going to look at the influence that Jesus had on a particular situation. Now, Jesus had a massive influence on a lot of people. Now, there wasn't Instagram and YouTube and Facebook for us to count up the likes and see the pictures, to see kind of what sphere he was influencing and how many people he was influencing. But what we do have is we have the gospel accounts. The gospel accounts are written down accounts of Jesus' life, and they give us insight into the influence that Jesus had on people. So we're going to look at one of these stories today, like I said, in John 8. And we're going to pick up the story in a moment where Jesus was kind of at one of his influential bests. He was chatting and talking through people, and actually he was talking about feeding people. Now I can kind of resonate with that because I'm a hungry man myself. I like to eat. I like to think about food. I like to think about what I'm going to cook next. However, sometimes I do struggle to think about what I'm going to eat and what I'm going to cook, and it can actually be quite a difficult decision. Never mind where we pick up this story, which is Jesus thinking about feeding thousands of people. That's right, thousands of people. I'm not sure I could handle that pressure. But let's read the story. Let's turn to John 8 together, and let's read through. You can read through and follow in your Bibles, or the text is going to run on the screen if you want to. But let's read it together. Then Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. There's a young boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good is it that with this huge crowd? Tell everyone to sit down, Jesus said. So they all sat down on the grassy slopes. The men alone numbered about 5,000. Okay, let's pause here for a second before we carry on reading the story. Here we have 5,000 men, it says. So that's 5,000, not counting the fact that there would have been women and children there as well. So you can probably almost double, maybe even triple the amount of numbers that they were going to feed here. Not only that, but you have this moment where it seems to say that there's a boy who has food. Now, obviously the boy didn't come prepared that he was going to feed thousands of people. No, he would have just packed himself his own lunch, made sure that he was going to be able to feed. So rightly so, he only had a few loaves and a bit of fish. Like, how was he to know? He just kind of came prepared with what he had for himself. Are you sure? Like, I've only got a bit of bread. It's not going to go around everybody. I'm not sure. Let's read on and see what happened next. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks to God, and distributed them to the people. Afterwards, he did the same with the fish, and they all ate as much as they wanted. After everyone was full, Jesus told his disciples, "Now gather the leftovers so that nothing is wasted." So they picked up the pieces and filled 12 baskets with scraps left by the people who had eaten from the 5 barley loaves. So the disciples take this boy's bread and they pass it to Jesus, and Jesus starts to pray over it. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was the boy at this point, I would start to feel pretty nervous. I'd start to feel a little bit like, has Jesus clocked that I've only got 5 bread, like loaves and some fish. Like, I've just bought enough for me. Does he realize this? Like, there's thousands of people here. Is he sure? And probably quite rightly so, looking at that moment, like, he did only have enough for himself. He didn't bring enough for thousands of people. He just cared about enough for him to feed and enough for him to eat, which, you know, rightly so. Like, not everybody rocks up with enough for 5,000 or triple that to eat. But yet, he still gave it to Jesus. He still took a step in faith of knowing that Jesus could do something here, and he gave him his food, the food that was for him. Amazing, really, when you think about it. And there's so many amazing things to this story, but there's just that one particular thing that I want us to look at, and it's that Jesus could have fed these people easily. He could have made the loaves of bread. He could have got the fish to jump out of the sea however he wanted to. He could have fed this crowd. But Jesus made a choice. He chose to take what the boy had. He chose to use something that the boy had in order to make a massive impact. He chose to take the boy's food and use it for this situation. Amazing, really. This is how it ends. When the people saw him do this miraculous sign, they exclaimed, "Surely he is the prophet we have been expecting." The people saw what Jesus did with what this kid brought. And you know what? Thousands of them went on to believe and follow in him because of that. They saw that surely he was the one that was sent, that he is the prophet. Jesus used what this kid had, no matter how small. He used it to impact thousands of people. How beautiful is that? Now, this kid probably wasn't the most popular. It wasn't like he was known by all of these thousands of people. It wasn't like he had thousands of followers. He was like the in kid. No, he just was a kid who had something pretty small, but was willing to give it. Was willing to give what he had. And Jesus amazingly allowed him then to be part of influencing thousands of people. And if Jesus can do that with someone 2 and a bit thousand years ago, then he can do that in our lives now as well. Because Jesus is in the business of taking what you have, no matter how small, and using it. And using it. We all have something to give. We all have influence to play. You don't have to be the most popular. You don't have to have hundreds of Instagram likes. You don't have to have hundreds of YouTube followers. You just have to be willing to give whatever you have. And Jesus will use that. And will use that for good. So today I challenge you to start thinking about what is it that I can give? What is it that I can do? And it can be as small as just sending somebody a text. How are you doing? Can I pray for you? It could be treating your brothers and sisters differently. It could be not getting as agitated with your parents in this lockdown. It could be anything. We all have something to give, no matter how small it is. Think about what it is that this week you could do. You could say to Jesus, I've got this, use it. Because Jesus will. Jesus will use whatever we have to make a big impact. We just have to be willing to do it. And then actually do it. If you think of something that you're going to do, actually do it. Go through with it. Be kinder to your brother or sister. Send that text message. Start to have that influence that you could have. Because If you influence somebody towards doing something good, that's an amazing thing. That's proper influence. That's Jesus influence. So this week, guys, I encourage you to do that. Have a think, have a pray. What is it that you could do? What is it that you could give to Jesus and stand there and say, I've got this, use it. Because no matter how small, Jesus will use it. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Some questions are going to follow this on a slide for you to ponder and think about. But yeah, go out there and have a think about what it is that you could do to make a difference this week. Stay safe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.